Good evening, and welcome to In the Public Interest. You are watching us on WPHY, Channel 25, and listening to us on 1300 WIMG, as well as live365.com WIMG. The gentleman we have with us tonight is no stranger to this station and to this program. He is doing great things in the music of Christian music as well as gospel music, and he has helped bring life to many gospel artists and artists of Christian faith. With the person I'm referring to is the founder and CEO of the Kendrick Awards, and that gentleman is none other than President Tim Ewing.
Well,
Mr.
thank you so
Ewing,
much.
good evening to you, and thank you for joining me here on In the
Yeah,
Public Interest.
thanks so much for having me back.
I had to have you back because we didn't get a chance to speak about the great things that are taking place with the Kendrick Awards and some of the great artists that will be performing. But
Okay.
before we get to that point, I want our listeners just to have a little understanding of what the Kendrick Awards is all about and the purpose and the vision as to why you brought this uh, to fruition at this time, and what is it that you would like to see come out of the Kendrick Awards?
Well, the Kindred Awards is an annual event that happens every year, and it just focuses on local artists and musicians in the tri-state area of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Delaware, and New York. And the idea is to try to provide a platform for those artists that don't necessarily have a record label or a huge following, and give them a chance to be able to be put to the spotlight. So hopefully, the people that don't know them ultimately will get to know them through the award show. And the idea for the award show is also to be as diverse as possible, to include as many different genres and styles. So that way you can get a feel for what the body of Christ is all about. Because a lot of times you'll go to an award show and it'll just be one genre, which is fine. But then all the other genres are kind of left, scrambling. Well, where's my place? And so with the Kindred Awards, I want it to be all inclusive, where anybody can be a part, anybody is welcome, and it's something where I'm trying to foster a sense of unity and trying to let people know that these artists are in their area, that they have an opportunity to be able to connect with them or to be able to utilize them in some way, even after the award show is over with. So if they had an outreach event or if they had something that they wanted to do in their community or at their church, they can see, oh, this person was part of the Kindred Awards. Maybe I can bring them to my church and I can utilize their ministry for what we need it for. And the bigger picture is ultimately just providing encouragement to the local artists to let them know that what they're doing in their music and their ministry is important. It matters, and it's greatly appreciated, and it's making a difference. So that's kind of the bigger picture is the unity piece, and to encourage those artists, throughout the year. But ultimately, the award show is our time to just take, a moment to say thank you for all the dedication and hard work that they do year in and year out, day in and day out through their music and their ministry.
Mr. Ewing, there's something that I think our artists, not our artists, but our listeners need to know, and that is how did this awards ceremony, how did it start? How long has it been in existence?
Well, this is our 10th year, believe it or not. It's crazy to think it's been 10 years, but here we are at year 10 and we're still going strong. And it all basically started on faith. And I had mentioned in the first interview that I did with you that I initially Kindred was, doing outreach concerts in parks and in schools and in the community. And through that interaction with the local artists who joined me for these outreach events, I just kind of got a prick from God saying, you need to do something for these artists. And that's kind of where the idea of an award show was placed on my heart. And that's kind of where I got my start from, was trying to encourage those artists that were kind of feeling frustrated or stuck or kind of questioning, whether they should continue to do ministry or not.
It's amazing because I speak to a number of artists from time to time, and some are struggling artists, some do it for the love of God, some do it for a paycheck.
Hmm.
But it's just the nature of the game. I always believe that when you have a talent, regardless of how much you make or how little you make, if you're doing it for the glory of God, it really doesn't matter God will be one that provides.
Correct.
In this ministry, because it is a ministry, as you go forth and provide acknowledgments with awards for the great artists. Some of the artists have, I'm sure, have given you testimonies over the years, how much they have appreciated. Can you share some of those stories? That way our listeners know what type of feedback you get from some of the artists.
Well, a lot of them have said that it was the right time a lot of times they'll be like in a part where they're like questioning if they should go on, and then they come to the award show and they were nominated and then they won. And it was just like the perfect timing because they were feeling discouraged, or it was just at that time where they just felt like it was a God moment. And like I get a lot of times people will say also because of you, I met this person. I never would have met this person otherwise. So it's, an encouragement to me that I'm connecting people together that might not have necessarily met otherwise. And I'm introducing music to people that might not have known that this music existed otherwise. And those are the kind of testimonies where, like, I never thought I would like this music until I came to the award show. And now I'm a big fan of this style. So those are the kinds of testimonies of, thank you for being the person that encouraged me because I was about to quit, and your nomination or your encouragement kept me going. And that means a lot to me because I try to follow the spirit's lead. And in terms of nominations, like I take a lot of time to pray about who I want to nominate and who I want to bring on because, I don't want just anybody up there that, hasn't taken the time to, hone their craft, or that, isn't serious about their music. I try to find the best of the best because for me, I look at it as an outreach too, because if somebody that isn't a Christian looks at the award show, if I'm just putting subpar people up on stage, then they're going to kind of get a bad taste of, what Christian music is all about. But if I'm putting people that can turn heads and that are having a quality product and that have an amazing sound and an amazing, ministry, then they're going to be like, that's Christian. Oh, wow. I never thought about that. And their stereotype of Christian music changes. And ultimately, that gives me an opportunity to reach that person that kind of has a maybe a skewed vision of what Christian music is all about, kind of change their mind in a way that, is positive. And a lot of times, Christian music gets a stereotype, and I want to try to break down those stereotypes.
It's great to hear you say that because when we speak about stereotypes, and one thing we must learn, gospel is an influence of all types of genre. Christian music is an influence of all types of genre because many of the artists, where some may not know this, have started from a faith-based setting. Many artists have grown up in church and went through the process of the Bible and the choirs and understanding the Word of God. And of course, when they got to a certain point, the world basically showed them another light where they can use their talent. But then there are those that do come back and bring forth great sound to the gospel and Christian industry. We can talk about those type of artists, but this is not their platform. Today,
Right.
we are discussing artists that are doing great things. Now, you mentioned some of, not the artists, but where you uh, get information and how you are able to reach out to the artists. Is it just in the Pennsylvania and New Jersey area, or do you go beyond the tri state area, Delaware, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey?
Yeah, there's pretty much the five states. It's New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, um, and then there's New York. So that's the kind of like the space that God has told me to kind of focus on for now. If God expands my territory in the future, maybe adding more states, right now that's all I can handle is those areas. So I'm praying about, getting a team together to be able to expand, but right now that's kind of where the main focus is on, is just around this area.
Well, I do believe that if you continue in what God has given you, it will expand. It will expand. The Bible speaks of expanding our territory, and God will definitely do that. And I believe He's going to do that with the Kendrick Awards. And I look forward to seeing just how God is going to bring this into the next level, so to say.
One day
Ladies
at a
and
time.
gentlemen, we'll repeat that again.
One day at a time. That's all I focus on, is one day at a time. That's all I have.
One day at a time. This is so true. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching us on WPHY Channel 25. You are listening to us on 1300 WIMG. as well as live365.com, WIMG. I'm your host, Bennie Macklin, as I sit here with the president, founder, CEO of the Kendrick Awards, Mr. Tim Ewing. Once again, Mr. Ewing, thank you for joining us here on In the Public Interest.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Now, there are different categories in regards to the awards ceremony. I
Hmm.
would like for our listeners to get an idea as to the categories that they will see awards being given. Of course, we can discuss the artists, but what are the categories
Well,
that
this
are
year
being
there's
placed in the award
22
ceremony?
categories. There's male rap, there's female rap. We have a rap collaboration category. We have a gospel artist category. We have a gospel group choir category. We have a rock category. We have a contemporary male, contemporary female, contemporary group, worship artist, worship group. We have urban contemporary. We have R&B and soul kind of together. We have a Spanish category. We have acoustic folk storyteller, which is all kind of more like put together as one category. We have a country song. We have a jazz world fusion song category. We have love song, Christmas song, dance song, and scripture song. And then we have two kindred choices, which is my personal pick that I pick every year. I find artists or individuals that I believe are exceptionally well in doing amazing things, and I just pick them as my own pick. And then I also have a local legend, which is kind of like the kindred version of the Hall of Fame. And this year's Hall of Fame recipient is actually a member of your radio staff, Zach Williams from Zach Williams of One Accord. So I'm extremely, happy to be able to honor him and his ministry because it's just been fantastic. And how much he's been just an influence and a trailblazer in the choir community. And I just have just been blown away by his ministry and felt he was deserving of getting that honor this year.
President Ewan, I am going to say second that emotion. I do know Zach. He is a great man. And if anyone knows Zach's story in regards to what he has gone through in this last year, they know that it had been nothing but God that was on his side. And he is one that will gladly tell you. I had an opportunity to interview him as he spoke about what he went through in regards to his cancer
Mhm.
and how God had turned it around for him. So kudos to the legendary Zach Williams.
Yeah, and I have a very special tribute that I'm going to be providing for him at the end of the night that I really think will, touch him and bless him because he's been such a blessing to us. It was just something that I felt was right. And um, I sent it over to his team and his team loved it as well. So I'm excited to be able to provide that for him. I have a couple surprises in there as well.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, a question for you, because
Yeah.
I know how it can be when it comes to doing ministry work and trying to get those involved and just putting everything together. How do you keep yourself motivated when it comes to bringing the Kendrick Awards to the date and doing all the work that you do and those that are supporting you? How do you do it?
It's a long process. It's just pretty much like I just start once everything kind of shuts down, I start processing for, how it went for that year. And then once I kind of get a feedback from people like what they thought, how the event ran and how everything went and if there was any problems, how we can troubleshoot them and fix them for next year, then I, just start beginning searching to find, the collective music that's been, put out. And then in January is generally when I start doing the nomination process. And then once I have all the nominees, then I start gathering all the videos and music that, correspond. And then it's editing it and then writing the script and then starting to put together all the videos and trying to get the promotional pieces. And it's just a process that, one thing. And then once you check that off, then you move to the next thing. And day by day, you chip away until it's finally finished. And then you have the final product. But it's definitely many, 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 many hours of work that goes into it. And it's not easy. And especially when you set deadlines and deadlines pass and you're like, can I please have your submissions, please, 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 please? And then people drag their feet, and then the day of, you're still waiting, and you're like praying, and it all comes together. But it's stressful. It's definitely not easy, and that's why I keep praying for a team to help me because with my own personal life, I only have a certain amount of time allotted to be able to pull it off. So it's always God's working because I always look at it. I'm like, how did I get that all done? And I'm like, it's the only thing I can say is it's God that's given me the strength and the ability to get everything done because it's crazy all the work that goes into it.
You are a father, you're a husband, a son, and I'm sure trying to keep the Kendrick Awards to where it is today can be trying, as you mentioned, and also with the structure of family, who I'm sure have been supportive of your goals and your vision.
Yeah, they have been, which has been a blessing.
Now, going forward, as we get ready for this award ceremony, where can our listeners, first of all, what is the address? Where is it taking place at?
It's at Siloam Baptist Church. It's in Norristown. I'll pull up the actual webpage so I can read the exact address so I don't misquote you on that. But let's see, where was it at? Siloam Baptist Church. It's 1329 Willow Street in Norristown, Pennsylvania, 19401.
That was Salem Baptist Church, is that correct?
Correct. And
Uh,
everything is on our website and on our ministry page, so you can, definitely check that out. And everything is all there to, you know, reference and to check and to have that available. So that way it's easier than trying to remember, the address off the top of your head. But it's kindredministries.us. It's KINDREDMINISTRIES.us is the main page. And then we have facebook.com/kindred ministries NJ is for Facebook.
repeat the um, social media again, please.
kindredministries.us and then facebook.com/kindred ministries NJ for New Jersey.
Now, if a vendor or someone that is listening to this program as we speak, watching this program, and they would like to be or to take part in the Kendrick Awards, whether they have a group, whether it be to help support their ministry, because it is a ministry,
Mhm.
how can they go about reaching you?
They can email me at thekindredawards@yahoo.com,
Okay, that's
or
the
they can
Kendrick
message
Awards.
me on Facebook and look me up on Facebook and message me.
Is it under Kendrick Awards on Facebook? Is that
It's
correct?
the one that I said, the Kindred Ministries NJ, and they can send me a message or they can just email is probably the best.
Now, we must give a date. We gave information in regards to the church. We gave information of the website. What is the date of the award ceremony?
It's Saturday, June 21st.
Saturday,
So,
June 21st. So it's in a couple weeks. So at this, well, and it's soon. Let's put it that way. Not in a couple weeks, but it is soon.
yeah.
And our listeners can go online, find out ticket information, and also find out about the artist. Do you, by chance, have a list of some of the artists that will be present?
I can just read off the flyer. Like Lamont Sanders is going to be performing, Russ Shanks and Nate World Changer, Mike Stokes, Racy Siren, Tina Guitar, Michelle Lee, Rasheem Chambry, Lamar Bryan, Dimitri Horton, The Death of Saul, Prominence, Letitia Wiley, Jim Gavin, Kiara Spence, Jason Walters, Julia Smith, Matt Wheeler, Bodega, Naomi Celeste, Scenario, Paradox, No Nonsense, Cristobal Braden, Juliana Lane, Oracle, Eddie Mann and Liz Collins, Noe Felice and Nikki Rochelle, Heather Love and G Reason, On the Mend, and John's Crossing are all scheduled to be performing. And then I'm also going to be performing with some of the nominees. I wrote the theme song this year, so I'm going to be opening up the show with the theme song that I wrote.
I'm looking forward to hearing the theme song. I'm looking forward to hearing the theme song. I'm looking forward to being in the presence of the Kendrick Awards show. ceremonies, because I know this is going to be a great opportunity, not just for the artists, but also those that will be in attendance. And of course, to see my brother Zach Williams uh, being honored for his work and the great things that he is currently doing. And of course, to be honored for the things that God has blessed him with.
Yeah.
President Ewing, you are doing great things as well. I just want to say to you, God bless you, because it's not easy to bring forth such great things to honor those that are doing great things within music. Sometimes they're overlooked, but
Yeah.
what you are doing is making sure that they're not overlooked, and in addition, they're not forgotten.
Well, I believe that just because you're a local artist doesn't mean that you're not as, less talented as somebody that's a national artist, because even the national artists got their start being local. They just haven't had their opportunity to be discovered yet. And so that's kind of the idea of pushing the award show, is to try to put those people that have that amazing talent to the forefront, to the spotlight. So that way the radio personalities that maybe will come and be a part will be like, oh wow, I never realized that they were that amazing, and we'll add them to the rotation, and then they get exposure, and then they get an opportunity to grow their ministry through that. So I'm hoping that this is a resource not only for the artists, but for radio stations, and for people that are promoters, or that are looking for something new to add to whatever they're doing, that they can use it as a resource and be like, oh wow, these artists are fresh, they're new, they've got just as much talent. Let me add them to my rotation. Because I've always believed that, sure, it's great to have the same five or six songs on repeat if that's what you want, but there's more to life than just the same five or six artists, and trying to expand the horizons of what's radio friendly. Because when I had my radio show, I always tried to change up the way that it's done, and to be more inclusive and play, a lot more styles than just, what you typically hear. Because generally, if you're listening to like K-Love, you'll get like CCM and worship, or if you're listening to like a gospel station, you'll just get gospel and maybe like an R&B song here and there, but you'll never hear, the other styles. And, I'm trying to, try to explain to the people that, sure, this is good, but there's other genres that you're missing, and where can they be added, and where can they belong? Because you don't necessarily have a rap artist on a K-Love, but why not? Why not have diversity, and trying to break out of those things that you do over and over again, and trying to expand.
Yeah, God's music is not just locked into one, it expands, as you spoke of, and
Just
it
off the
will go over.
performances that are going to be happening, there's like 12 or 13 different genres of music that's going to be featured. So it's very eclectic, and there's going to be something for everybody. And it's my hope that it opens up your palette to, things that you might not have ever heard before, in hopes that maybe you find a new style of music that you love.
Absolutely great. Absolutely great. President Ewing, I want to thank you for taking this time to join me here on In the Public Interest to talk about the Kendrick Awards show ceremony that's going to be taking place. Now, one thing I think it's important for our listeners to know, as you have spoken, and that is that there are a number of genres
Mhm.
that are within the gospel and Christian um, industry. Music, as I stated, it expands in more ways than one and should never be locked. God's music, you can't lock it. And by you helping to expose what is going forward when it comes to Christian music, gospel music, I personally think it's a great thing. So I encourage you to continue to do what God has called you to do, and continue with the award ceremonies. There's so many great artists, and what you're doing is bringing them to light, and that's an absolutely beautiful thing.
And each year it's customized. So basically, whatever music is put out, I kind of get a feel for what the category is going to be. Like this year, we have a country category, which is a brand new category that we're, happy to feature, because there's been a number of artists that have, gone the country route, and I wanted to be able to honor them and to celebrate what they're doing in terms of their releases. We also have a world fusion category, which is kind of more of like their cultural backgrounds, where their heritage is from. So it's kind of a little bit more um, of a new style that, I wanted to be able to feature it because it's innovative and new. And I thought, hey, why not? There's artists that are doing this. Let's feature it. Let's showcase it. And like I always try to make sure that, you know, whatever you're doing, I want to try to be able to include you in some way and to be able to have a place for you to kind of to shine and to show off what you're doing.
Speaking of inclusion, how do you reach out to your artists and how can they reach out to you so that they can be a possible nominee for an award?
Well, basically, I put together a database. So first of all, I generally try to email them and let them know, hey, I'd love to be able to, partner with you or to learn more about your ministry and build a connection. And then once I've kind of built that connection, I'll message them on Facebook or on social media and kind of talk to them through that way. Or sometimes I'll give them a phone call. Some people are, not on social media at all. Some people, that's the only thing they do is social media. So I try to find whatever is the best way to communicate with the artist. And then based off of that, whether it's email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a text or whatever it may be, just reaching out to them and encouraging them and telling them whatever I need to share with them through that.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have here on In the Public Interest President Tim Ewing of the Kendrick Awards as we discuss the upcoming event that's taking place real soon. We're going to get that information from him for one more time before we leave. So let's just give it to him in regards to the email, excuse me, the website, and of course the date of the program.
It's Kindred, Kindred Ministries, Ministries.us is the main website. And then they can also, if they want to tell me about their music or their ministry or reach out to me or nominate somebody, it's the Kindred Awards, THEKINDREDAWARDS at yahoo.com. And that's the best way to reach me in terms of, anything. That's the best way to get to me.
And this event is taking place on June 24th. Is that correct?
21st.
21st.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure we had the right date.
And it's at Silent Baptist Church, 1329 Willow Street in Norristown, Pennsylvania, 19401.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, we thank you for taking the opportunity to join us here on In the Public Interest. This has been a great, great opportunity to hear about so many great artists, as well as our own WIMG host, radio host, Zach Williams, as he
He's
will.
also he's also going to be hosting the actual award show with Letitia Wiley. So on
Oh,
top of being honored for the local legend, he's going to be the actual host of the night, which I think is fantastic that he was, so gracious enough to be willing to do that.
that is beautiful. All right. Well, we look forward to it. Again, to you, Mr. Tim Ewing, thank you. And may God continue to do great things in regards to the awards, as well as your life, and continue to doing great things in ministry.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching us on WPHY Channel 25, listening to us on WIMG 1300, as well as live365.com. WIMG. I'm your host, Bennie Macklin, as I sat down with President Tim Ewing of the Kendrick Awards. We do thank you for joining us tonight. May you have a blessed night.